Okay, guys, welcome in. Sean here, JB, Triple E as well. Don't tell me that you're not clamoring more for an all-star game and a foolish home run derby than you are football season about to get started. That emotion's running wild. You already see once we get by July 4th and you get through that next week after people recover from their July 4th, bam, players, management, everybody, media is kicked in to NFL college football, SEC media days, Big 12 media days, the NFL. Now the questions start. Now, listen, I love all-star games as much as anybody. Well, I take that back. I used to. The all-star games now are trash, although baseball is still far and away the best all-star game. We've discussed it, still the best. Basketball we can do away with. It's an embarrassment. The football Pro Bowl game, I don't even know why we're doing it anymore. And then we got the baseball all-star game. I wish we'd go back to everybody wearing their own uniforms. I wish we'd go back to wearing their own baseball. If you represent the Cincinnati Reds, wear your uniform. I miss those days. You're representing that team. Hell, I miss them. So all-star game be fine. Like I've said before, I wish the home run derby and all that stuff tonight. I wish they'd have aluminum bats and hitting the ball a country mile, but we're not going to get that. But it's going to be the same thing and some different names in it. So you'll watch that. But the all-star game, a lot of bodies that pitched over the weekend won't be pitching. Some people like, Paredes, Isaac Paredes for the Astros, of personal reasons, he's going to take this one off. It doesn't have the same that it used to. It just doesn't. And I guess when you've made an all-star team, it's no longer, top of the list. I remember the days the guys would get booed when they'd step out and tip their hat. Now I used to love the pre-introductions as much, but all-star game's great. This is the best one. It used to be more competitive. Now it's get through it. I understand it's for the fans and the exhibition. So are they getting that part right? But I know this is just simply another bridge to get through the all-star week. It is dog days of summer, but do you realize we're 90 plus games? It used to be the midway point in college in Major League Baseball, 80, 81, 82 games years ago as a midway point. Hell, we're pushing 100 games. They're in the in the 90s now. Games. It's not just 81 game. I mean, when we come back out of this, we're staring at 100 games. This is no longer it's in the middle. It's urgent for these teams. Look at the Red Sox, the way they're playing. The Astros go into the break 1-5. The Red Sox 10 straight. And don't tell me it's about one superstar as opposed to a team. That team's responded and playing far better without Devers, and they're happier and not caring who gets the credit. 10 straight. And charging in the East. But we got a lot of baseball. We'll continue to talk. But I damn well know the questions you have about football are here. Your passion's real. And we're here to jump all over it because I'm going to tell you what, this football season from JB and I and Triple E from Unpaved right here is going to be epic. It is going to be authentic, and we will tell you stuff others don't want to tell you. Even when they have all the access with all the film and tape they want, we're going to trumpet. And yes, pun intended. We're going to take one step further and get this thing right, because opinion based on some inside knowledge is always a good thing. There's some good ones out there, but you're not going to get any more passionate than you do here. JB, welcome in, man. Triple E as well. A lot of football, well, all football really to start the Monday. But before we do, JB, is because it's that time we start getting ready for camp and the rest of it. Our weather in our country, dude, it's been weird, man. I know we get a lot of rain here in Houston, but you know what? Weather reports every day. It's like, no rain, boom, rain. And I'm talking about storms that hit and boom, and it's nowhere. And then 20 minutes later, it's storming and raining sideways and 30-mile-an-hour winds, goes away, comes back. It's the strange thing. Nobody's going to tell me what's going on in the country in Albuquerque with that weather. We know the tragedy that's happened here in Texas, and again, floods again this past weekend. You're not going to tell me this is normal in June and July. And now we're in July. We're not April showers. This is just weird what's going on across the country. And I'm sorry to tell you, this isn't natural. It's not global warming. It has a lot to do with that seeding that we talked about. I don't want to get into all of that. But to all those going through this, man, all of in one way, shape, or form, whether it's the devastation in Texas or other devastation in New Mexico, places all over the country, some of the weirdest weather patterns ever. This cannot be just normal stuff. I've never seen anything like it over a summertime.
You mean it's fake?
Snowing in places it's supposed to be the summer.
It's fake?
Huh?
You think it's fake?
I don't think it's fake. I think it's enhanced. How's that?
Oh, there's no doubt.
Conspiracy theorist. I don't think this is just we wake up and every single day it's doing the same thing. You look up and say it's almost like it's Groundhog Day. There's nothing Groundhog Day about the devastation Texas suffered, and I'm really proud to live in Texas and call myself a Texan because of the way they rally around everybody. But I'm sure it's like how much can you continue to endure? And God
gotta get hard. Yeah. Hey, Sean, Albuquerque, New Mexico, it's snowing right now. It's July 14th.
Yeah.
It just flooded in New Mexico. Now it's snowing.
Yeah, it's flooding. It's everywhere. Dude, Jay, it's
I never seen no shit like that. 2 years ago, we had it like that here. 2 years ago, we had what you have in Houston. It was gray clouds every day. I didn't see the sun for I want to say a month or two straight. And it's
we
been
go through that now, JB. I'll get it's you'll get one report on your phone. That weather app on your phone will say sunny, no cloud, and before you know, and no rain, 0% chance. And before you know it, it's raining sideways and blowing stuff over in your backyard. It's happening every day. I mean,
it's funny too, Sean. You're from here,
yes,
and I'm out in the IE, so IE is hotter than LA, obviously, but. On the boat in Long Beach, I've been taking my mom, so I haven't been out there in a while. But
he's talking IE for you folks to know that's called the Inland Empire, and we call it in California.
Yeah, and it's usually hotter. Obviously, getting closer to Palm Springs, obviously it gets hot. So it's been 90s, and it's been clear as hell for a month straight or more. I haven't seen a cloud, so opposite of you. But on the water, when it's already usually 85, 90, it hasn't topped 80 yet this year. Like it's still cold. If you go out against the wind, it's cool. Like you need a hoodie. You need a sweater. Yeah. Like I've never seen that shit in at this time of the year.
I can't remember the last time, JB, here in Houston that it was sunny all day long, 5 straight days with not a cloud in the sky. It's like and I know we're closer to the water at Galveston, with Galveston, but it's just baffling because every day you make a reservation to go do something outdoors, and every day it's like, you better get it in quick or you ain't getting it in. So, but more importantly, no need to complain about that when people are still fighting for their homes, and we've lost over 100 lives. You
got water again, don't you? Where's the new water?
What's that?
Where's the new flooding going on in Texas?
Well, it's let's hope we don't have flooding for a while. And if seeding does matter, if seeding's part of this, please take it to somebody who's got a drought. We ain't got no drought here in Houston. We can't even. Hell, you plant something, say keep watering it. We're getting too much. We got too much of it, and obviously with what's gone on in Kerrville and in the surrounding areas, it's been awful, and that's been well documented. All right, let's get to football. Let's get some really good news going on, and good news is that we get another day to try and get better in our lives. And I know that sounds cheesy, but looking at what's going on around you, sometimes our country with people is unrecognizable. With some of the things that go on. But what is recognizable is football's getting ready to start. And I think people need it. And I think we want it. And I think we're ready for it. And so I'm going to start. JB, simply, the show today is real simple. Questions that need answered. And we're not going to get the answers preseason, but questions that need to be answered at the end, or it'll look different or give us a hit different than we expected to. Let me start here with the Jared Goff, Ben Johnson situation. Now you say, what kind of situation is that? I'm just simply saying, how much of an impact are we going to have to deal with the Detroit, who's been a Super Bowl caliber team the last couple of years, couldn't close it out. Goff's played his best football in Detroit. They've changed in both coordinators. I'm specifically focused on the offensive side of the ball and Ben Johnson and Jared Goff and the offense for Detroit. I say Goff, but he's just part of it. I watched Philadelphia go through this when they lost theirs. And the next two couldn't, they just, and good coaches, it just didn't work. And then 2 more come in Vic Fangio. Don't tell me coaching doesn't matter. Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore. And now Fangio's still coaching defense, and Moore's the head coach in New Orleans. And you saw more of what looked like the year they went to the Super Bowl and got beat. And then last year looked like a team that was on the same page, go to a Super Bowl and get that win. The relationship on the field, play calling, it's not just we're buddy. I'm talking about the even though it may be somebody, doesn't matter where you're at, it could be somebody in the system, somebody you brought in outside. There's a rhythm to it that is going to be different. Now the question is, because no matter if it was a Ben Johnson protege or if it wasn't, the rhythm is going to be different. How different? And when you're coaching, how different is it? I think it's tougher this way. It's tougher for a coach who loses his quarterback than it is for a quarterback who loses his coach at times, unless you're replacing him with a great player. You know what I'm saying? So, but I do know that the relationship on the rhythm of play calling. I'm not talking about the buddy relationship. I'm talking about the rhythm and what you go through and finishing each other's football sentences. Do we believe that the next man up, meaning coordinator up in Detroit, is going to give you the same feelings that you get, or better, or worse? What's Detroit facing? To me, it is going to impact them, at least early. It just will. Now, how they recover from it, and it may impact them even better. The impact will be felt. I think it's always very difficult. He is the 8th ranked quarterback by coaches in front office. We have that list we'll get to this week and see where we think on their top 10. I don't want to do lists just yet, but they're out. But the relationship on the field and play calling and rhythm, I've never seen Goff play with more confidence in his career. The question is, will that be shaken? And especially early on, JB, I think you need early returns for him and for the coordinator, for Dan Campbell to feel like we're hitting this ground running. We are who we were last year offensively.
Yeah, Sean, I saw that list too. I don't know. This is going to be a big Dan Campbell year. Is he the orchestrator and CEO of an organization, a Fortune 500 company? Can he be that guy? Or is he dependent on 2 great coordinators that he lost to be head coaches? It's going to be a very, very instrumental year for Jared Goff, because we got rid of him here in LA. They immediately win a Super Bowl the very next year with Matthew Stafford. Like, there's no denying that.
And he took Detroit to a place that Matthew Stafford never took him, right?
Yep. And listen, Goff got them to a Super Bowl. They couldn't get over the hump. They couldn't produce no points. You can argue, okay, that was Sean McVay getting out-dueled by Bill Belichick, whatever you want to use. I have an issue with Goff, and I think he doesn't shine the brightest when the lights are the brightest. I think he has an it factor issue, but I think he's a super uber duper talented kid. I think he can ball spin with anybody in the league. He's a big arm. He has weapons around him. He's going to produce in the regular season. He's going to be great dude, great kid. He's going to be a 4,000-yard, 35 touchdown guy every year, in my opinion. So is he top 10 in the league? Of course, I think he is, no doubt. Now, can he win and get over the hump? This year is going to be a critical one for his legacy, Sean. Because if he can win with new coordinators, I think it cements his so-called, top 10.
Well, it'll turn it people in now. I don't think he's I mean, in LA, people, even though he helped take a team to Super Bowl, people were labeling, well, it just didn't work out. He was okay, but not the first pick of the draft. But I can tell you this, that if he's able to do that now, JB, and overcome another coordinator change, it'll tell me that he has elevated his play in spite of, not because of, even though we know how aggressive Ben Johnson is. And it's good for Dan Campbell. Don't kid yourself. Goff and Campbell want to make sure they do this because they don't want it to be, it was the coordinators that elevated us, not the player and the head coach. And I love Dan Campbell. He's a guy I'd love to play for. And I think they're going to be fine. The question is, how explosive will they be? They got to do everything they can. We know they can run it. We know they can protect the passer. They got to get stops, too, on defense, right, JB? They've got to be able to get consistent stops in a division that's got some pretty good quarterbacks in it. Now, a rookie, or he's a second-year guy, but he's in essence a rookie in J.J. McCarthy. But Jordan Love's pretty good. You get another year of Caleb Williams with the guy who knows that team as well as any, meaning Ben Johnson, as he now coaches in the same division. So there's a lot of sidebars. But you mentioned another question that goes with that, JB, about guys who are it factor to get them to another level. What is an it factor? Is it the MVP, or is the it factor going to the Pro Bowl? Is the it factor throwing for 5,000 yards? Or is the it factor more getting them in and winning? Because I can tell you this, if we're judging it factor by stats and coming up short, and I'll get to these, listen, I think Josh Allen's as gifted as any player we've seen in his position in a long time. He's a talented wise. But there's a long list of Jared Goffs in this league. And we don't have the same energy for some guys as we do for others. Dak Prescott's energy isn't the same as they have for Lamar Jackson. And Dak Prescott it's not, Lamar's been an MVP, Josh been an MVP. I get it. And we're going to get to the Dak as we roll through this stuff too. But my thing, JB, is that he's been second in the MVP voting and has been a top stat guy in the league. So Allen, Jackson, not the country singer, Goff, who's been to a Super Bowl, unlike the 3 guys, Prescott, Allen, and Lamar Jackson. So there's an energy about guys that for whatever reason we choose it. Well, why is that guy better? Well, why aren't you getting on him? He's putting up stats but can't close. And I just do I think that Jared Goff's a very talented player? I do. And I think he's put up some decent numbers, but we all judge him on closing. So why the different energy for Goff and Prescott as there is for a different energy for Allen and Lamar Jackson? Why isn't the energy all the same? I can argue that all those guys put up similar numbers, even though Jackson had a career year last year, top 3 MVP guy. What, he finished second? Josh Allen, best year ever that he's had, MVP. We know the type of year that Burrow had. Statistically, I think it was probably pretty close to being his best year. But I'm talking about the it factor of getting them in and closing it. So
let me ask you, how much wide out help do you carry weight? How much does the help around you weigh in on
hugely,
this?
Hugely.
So then Goff's had premier talent around him everywhere he's been so far in 2 places.
Would we say? Let me ask you this: is Derrick Henry, what Lamar Jackson hasn't had is a group of dominant, and Joe Burrow's, Jamar Chase has always been loaded at wide receiver. The Goffs had running backs and wide receivers. When Mixon was in Cincinnati, you start to look around. So is that the it factor, being able to do stuff when you're not overly skilled? I mean, Josh Allen, his wide receivers pretty good, but yet he's never had Jamar Chase, but he had a good running game.
He had a better year though without a guy like Diggs than he did with. So addition by
I'm not giving it. My answer is not just for what I'm trying to figure out why our energy is different. Would Detroit win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott? Would Dallas be better with Lamar Jackson? Would Jared Goff do the same thing in Buffalo that Josh Allen did? If Josh Allen was in Baltimore, would he have a Super Bowl ring? So all these questions are interchangeable. The common thread among them all, JB, is supremely talented. Love him. I would have voted Josh the MVP last year as well. But isn't there that, okay, now what's Baltimore's excuse this year? I'm not saying
it's always an excuse for this guy.
They're defensively. I mean, they've had defense in the past. They load Derrick Henry came in. They're well coached. Their front office and ownership's outstanding. So when are we going to say that maybe is it the quarterback or everybody else that doesn't have the it factor, whether it's Josh Allen? I listen.
I've been on that side.
I can win with Josh Allen. I can win with Lamar Jackson and Prescott and Goff. You say the it factor, which we're trying to put our finger on. So do you want stats? And yet when we get a guy who puts up big stats and doesn't win, we're mad that he puts up big stats and doesn't win a championship. Not win, but win a title. Now,
let me ask you.
What if I told you Lamar Jackson was going to – well, perfect example, Mahomes, who's won them, been in them, has been phenomenal, is still the top-ranked quarterback in this league. Numbers have fallen off of the 4 guys of Goff, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. You know who the worst stats in the league of those 4 are? It's Patrick Mahomes. Yet,
actually, if you go look at him –
what?
Look at number 10 on the list, Baker Mayfield. He has had double stats that Mahomes has had the last 2 years.
Baker Mayfield in the last 3 or 4 years thrown more touchdown or 2 year, whatever, more touchdown pass than anybody in the league?
More touchdowns, more yards than Patrick Mahomes, doubled up.
So my point is, and so what I'm trying to get at is here, what is the it factor for that? Is it Ben Johnson for Jared Goff? Is it Dak Prescott getting another weapon? Because when does it come to a point in time where, okay, what is it? And so I from, whether it's expertise of all of us trying to break it down, but you look at the numbers there. I mean, Mahomes, but yet Mahomes is still first. The numbers haven't been gaudy, but the winning is. So, but what if Mahomes comes out and throws for 220 yards a game this year and they win another Super Bowl? Are we going to say, yeah, the it factor, or his game is falling off? Which one is it?
You better start putting Andy Reid in a different category. That's where I'm at with it. And
well,
I've been on that.
He already is. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I do, but a lot of people don't. Like Mahomes ain't doing. Mahomes is this guy without the rings in any other place in America, in my opinion. In Chicago and wherever, people act like as if he was going to go there and do. Mahomes has the it factor. Let me be clear.
Here's my next question. Which will help me determine is where I'm going. I'm glad you said it. We didn't have the conversation, which is going to help me determine who we think is the best. Okay, give me Mahomes now and stick him in Buffalo. Give me Josh Allen and put him with Andy Reid.
I don't
Has
think they
Josh
win.
Allen got rings on his finger?
Nope.
He doesn't.
He doesn't. Either does Mahomes.
Whoa. Okay, so Mahomes wouldn't get it in Buffalo.
Nope.
Right? Okay. So what? So you're telling me Allen wouldn't get it with Andy Reid in Kansas City? Why?
I think it would be a Harbaugh Kaepernick situation. He's not the guy he's not that as big as arm as Josh is. Let's be honest. He's not the ad-lib player with his arm getting the ball out in a system that is conducive. Andy Reid made a system that does what? He doesn't need no big-time receiver. After Tyreek Hill, give me a big-time wideout that Kansas City's had.
Well, they had Hopkins for a minute, but his best part of his game.
Yeah, he was done. But I'm talking about get the ball out quick. What do? Get it out, boom, boom, shovel. They do all this shit. A lot of it would help.
JB, couldn't adjust to that?
He could adjust to it, but they're going to do a lot more 1+ run game with him, and a lot more than they do now. A lot more than they do now, though.
Right.
Like, think about it, because look what they do. I mean, I think Andy's a top 5 coach all time.
Okay, now give me Lamar Jackson in Kansas City.
No.
Josh Allen in Baltimore.
No. Either one again.
Basically, your answers are telling me that the it factor doesn't exist when it comes to championships with Allen or Lamar Jackson or Jared Goff or those, and Mahomes has that because he's done it. But you're also telling me that if he was with a lesser type coach, meaning Patrick Mahomes, but a talented team. All right, Patrick Mahomes in Baltimore with John Harbaugh, with the players they've had.
Nope.
No.
Here's why. Let me full circle this. A great conversation. Let me ask you this. Why does it seem that the wideouts are always with who? Where are the best wideout tandems in football? And where they've always been since you were a little kid, Sean? Who'd Dan Fouts have? Who'd Marino have?
You're talking about teams that don't win the thing?
Yeah, no. My point is, don't receivers want to go play with a guy that can actually fucking spin it?
Joe Burrow gets those guys. Yeah,
here's my point.
Jalen Hurts has 2 pretty damn good ones as well.
And now that they both put together,
Marino had phenomenal. But I could also
argue yourself. I mean, look at the guys. But my point is, why do guys want to get out of Baltimore?
Well, I don't know.
Let's be honest. We always blame it. We're always asking why. Well, Lamar ain't had a wideout. No shit. There's a reason for it. They want to get stats and paid. What pays wide receivers now, Sean? Numbers, stats.
No,
they need the stats.
It pays everybody now. It's just all numbers.
If you can't get stats because of Baltimore's system and the guy that can't really be a great passer efficiently, he's a great thrower. He's not a great passer. If he's not going to continuously get guys paydays, who's going to go to Baltimore in their right mind? But no, everybody calls me a hater. No, the fact is Hollywood Brown wanted the fuck out, excuse my language, out of Baltimore, didn't he? He wanted out because he didn't get the stats that he needed to get a payday. And guess what?
Let me defend, but so your underlying thing is that you think Lamar Jackson's a stat guy and that no matter who the receivers are, he's not going to elevate them?
I think he's a freak of nature, but he's not a passer of the football that's going to get you over the hump when all things get bad in the playoffs, when we have defensive playbooks out there and there's a book on you and we've already had you schematically outmatched every single year. Why has the DCs in the playoffs locked Lamar down to where he's not that guy he was in the regular season? Why does he
like Baltimore tries to do stuff they don't normally do in the postseason that they don't live by in the regular season now? And it's almost like they want to force feed to make sure that Lamar is the feature, and he should be. But let me ask you this: when I see a ball, and I'm glad Dr. J144 pointed out, because I was too. I saw him throw some drop shots that were perfect that were left on the ground.
Yeah, but that drop.
What does he have to do to? What does Lamar have to do to prove to you he's a player, dude? He's won 2 MVPs.
He's a player.
What's missing from him? What's missing?
It.
So the it is not stats. The it is championships. That's why Mahomes is still first.
Because you've asked me, Sean, you've told me that Baltimore has one of the greatest rosters in football the last 4 years. They have
the best roster outside of Philly this year in the NFL.
And I'd argue the Niners there, right?
San Francisco may have had the best roster leading into this. It didn't win a Super Bowl, no doubt.
Again, I've been saying the same thing. So don't say I'm not, and I'm not saying to you, but everybody out there, don't say I'm not an equal opportunist when it comes to being an asshole or a judgmental person. That's my opinion. I've called the Niners out for the same factual situation as this. Here's the issue. Yeah, Dr. J, it is Lamar's fault that he threw that shitty-ass ball to Mark Andrews. He's a 6'6" tight end that you wanted to go to the ground to make a catch behind him. It's absolutely his fault. That's my opinion. Sean may differ. We're both quarterback guys. That's what great conversations is. But, yeah, it is his fault because no other quarterback misses a two-point conversion that wide-ass open. I'm just telling you. He throws the ball right here.
That was all on him all the time. Yeah, I know what you're saying. A Montana or a
you know what I mean.
Doesn't miss that throw.
So my point is, though, wideouts want to be with guys that are going to get them statistics so they can get paid.
Right.
Lamar Jackson
get paid first, and they'll worry about their championship later. Is what you're saying.
Well, name me a wideout that Lamar's got paid at another place.
You mean big money? The guy, yeah,
a guy that Baltimore couldn't afford and lost and got a big time payday. Name me one, Dr. J. Since you guys know so much, name me one wideout that left Lamar and got paid somewhere else.
Okay,
I'll give you 10 that Aaron Rodgers has gotten paid.
Oh yeah, well, and some that you probably didn't think were going to get paid and got him paid more than once.
How many has Burrow got paid? A lot. A lot now. They're both on the same team, by the way, too. And they have one of the biggest. I mean, you've broken down the salary between those two guys.
Right.
So,
no doubt.
I'm just saying.
So, JB, okay, so with this, so how talk me off this ledge then if I said, I do believe that if Josh Allen was with Andy Reid, that their bandwidth may even be more because of the ability to run, that he would win a Super Bowl quicker than he would with Buffalo. Not saying I love the Bills fan base and the way they go about it. But put it this way, the moral of this story is something's missing from a handful of – if they're this supremely gifted, don't we look at our quarterback and say you got to elevate everybody else? But not just elevate him in week 7, elevate him in week 19 and 20, meaning in January. So there's no doubt that a good running game helps, which is good for Goff, getting back to the original question about I do think there will be an offensive – drop off a little bit because he's got good wideouts. I do, just because of the aggressiveness. I think that Ben Johnson wanted to, and I think Caleb Williams, regardless of the weird way he goes about it, his numbers will go up because one thing I know about Ben Johnson, if he's up by 35, he's going to try to put you up by 42. That's how he thinks. I don't think there's any question about it. So maybe a fall off, but JB with this. So basically we are saying under the circumstances we have with all this talent, that you don't think Lamar or Josh Allen or Jared Goff are ever winning a championship.
I don't. I've been on record for a long time saying it.
They're not just the reason they get there, but you also think they're the reason they don't win it or get there.
First of all, how much respect do you give a guy like Mike Martz or Brian Billick?
Well, Billick was my coach, and Mike Martz was a pupil of my guy North Turner. You know, so how much respect do I give him? Well, hell, I think I've always said that assistant coaches should have a wing in the Hall of Fame.
Okay,
and Norv would be in the Hall of Fame. And
I said those two names because I know you have a relationship with them. I have a good one.
Look, obviously, the high-powered offense it was unstoppable. If a quarterback like me wouldn't have gotten in the way of screwing it up for him, but with Rich Gannon and Wade, and then when Culpepper and Randall Cunningham, those receivers, and look at that receiver crew. We should have never lost with all those Hall of Famers we had, but you can blame it on number 12 in Minnesota. He wasn't very good meeting me, but you know what I'm saying is that Billick was.
The reason I brought those names up for you, only reason I am, so everyone in the chat that thinks JB don't know shit, then hopefully you think that Mike Martz and Billick knows shit. And Guess what Brian said before? And I call him Coach Billick, of course. Home, probably live Redlands, California, right here. Yep. He said, all the time that you run around in the backfield, there's a fucking guy wide open in the end zone, and that's what wins Super Bowls. And if you go back to the beginning of time, what has won Super Bowls? The quarterback that throws the guy in the end zone for a touchdown. Let's just be honest. Think about it. Not the guy that rushes for 300 yards and has a total amount of 300 yards like Jalen Hurts did a couple years ago. Guess what they did? Lost. Guess why? He missed guys wide open in the end zone.
He didn't miss them this time around, right?
And this time around, guess what? See what I'm saying? That's the point I'm trying to make here. I've never seen a quarterback, Dr. J, respectively, and I'm saying this respectfully to you. I've never seen a quarterback make a fucking running back better, Dr. J. That was almost made me laugh. So did Saquon Barkley get better from Jalen Hurts this year?
I have seen running backs make
Yeah.
quarterbacks better out of play.
And that's my point. I've never heard of Lamar Jackson making Derrick Henry better.
This thought process. You mentioned it. So am I to say that if we're talking about the biggest it factors in this league, that now judging from this and going through, and you're right about
because Derrick Henry was pretty good in Tennessee, Sean, without a fucking quarterback, wasn't he?
Oh, he was not pretty good. Yeah, he was a monster. And knowing that he was going to carry it 35 times and still showing up and posting every week. So under these circumstances, then I'm going to go by the fact that Jalen Hurts is the second best quarterback in the league. Saw it the first time around.
Yeah.
They didn't win. Polished his game, got the right coordinator.
Yep.
Has good players around him. So if we're judging the it factor by that, there wasn't anything he missed on the it factor in this passing ball. And quite frankly, had they won the previous one, he'd have been the MVP in that game too. So are we saying under this that it goes Mahomes, Jalen Hurts as far as the best quarterbacks in this league?
Well, I would have Stafford still ahead of him because he did win one also. And he was this fucking far from beating the Eagles in the rain or in the snow and threw for 350. No other quarterback in the league's going to do that.
I'm not saying I don't think he's second.
No, I know. Yeah, no. Personally, I would have him because he has that same criteria. He's won one, right? And obviously, so he's in the same boat as Hurts. They both won one.
Here's what I want people to
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Right. With this new age of football, and I'll stand on this hill forever. And you'll never, not you, anybody will never, you'll never be able to talk me out of this, ever. We get, with all this wide open, four wide, empty, motion, sideways, throwing the football off RPO. You know what I'm talking about, Jay. All the stuff we're doing now in the NFL. That the Chargers and BYU were doing 40 years ago with different personnel, just was different name, and it just looked different. But Don Coryell and Fouts were doing this shit they're doing now. This is nothing new to Sid Gilman. It's nothing new to Norm Chow when they were at BYU with Lavelle Edwards. Okay, put that aside. Here's what I know is going to hold true for now and forever. It's not escape first, be an off-schedule guy, and then throw from the pocket second to win a Super Bowl. It's the other way around, and it always will be. If you can't beat me from a hula hoop in the pocket, it's like a home run hitter and a pitcher. You can hit all the home runs you want. You give me Maddox versus Aaron Judge in a World Series, Judge has had his trouble in the postseason, but Maddox will get him more than he will Wade Boggs or Tony Gwynn. That keeps the play, has the it factor, keeps things alive. It's the same thing here. You got to throw the ball from that hula hoop in that area in the pocket on time with accuracy and with throwing people open and the believability and trust that people are going to get there. More so, we got so caught. JB, I'm sure you see it. I watch guys train kids to play off schedule all the time. They forget how to play on schedule. And so whether it's, listen, Jalen Hurts was great with his feet. Jalen Hurts beat you with his arm and a great defense last year. He did. And Barkley, while he didn't have gaudy stats in the Super Bowl, his presence alone allowed you to be able to put the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands and trust that he was going to deliver it and throw it on time. It's great now the way we see it. Now we want quarterbacks who are big and can run, but can also beat you from the pocket. And that's what you're looking for. That's the ultimate. Well, we get this crazy-ass thing that, oh, man, look how good he is off schedule. Look how good he is off platform, arm angle. You ain't going to live there. You can't. Where you do have to live, and this is where it comes to, what you're talking about, Josh and Lamar. And see, Goff is that guy, yet he's made too many mistakes. He has propensity to turn it over at times. It's unnecessary turns. And I heard Kirk Cousins admit what lost him the job. Not being able to, he turned the ball over too much at inopportune times, which I give all the respect in the world for a guy who recognized and looked in the mirror and recognized it. So I guess the point I'm making is talk to me now and talk to me in 10 years. And guess what? If you don't deliver the ball, name me the last time an off-schedule quarterback, that's where he lived, won a Super Bowl. I know it looks pretty getting there. You name me when a guy who doesn't beat you from that spot in the pocket on time and with accuracy is going, oh, yeah, people will say Steve Young, wrong. Young was an epitome of pocket passer. 5 touchdowns
in a Super Bowl, no picks.
Epitome. Now, if Young was playing in this league, at this time, his numbers would be sick because, but they threw that stuff from the pocket, ball to the flat, slant route, accurate and on time, and then he killed you with his feet. So he was what you're looking for. The Elway, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, 14 years ago, 15 years ago, 16 years ago, 17 years ago, 18 years ago, 19 years ago, 20 years ago, 21 years ago, 22 years ago, 23 years ago, 24 years ago, 25 years ago, 26 years ago, 27 years ago, 28 years ago, 29 years ago, 30 years ago, 31 years ago, 32 years ago, 33 years ago, 34 years ago, 35 years ago, 36 years ago, 37 years ago, 38 years ago, 39 years ago, 40 years ago, 41 years ago, 42 years ago, 43 years ago, 44 years ago, 45 years ago, 46 years ago, 47 ye Elway was great off schedule, but Elway threw from the pocket. Trust me, I watched him do it forever and studied. I may have seen 90% of Elway's throws over the career because my infatuation with him as a player, right, and a quarterback. So make no mistake, the team that wins the Super Bowl this year, regardless of everything around him, I know that, but the quarterback position will not be a runner first, thrower second, or at least our perception of it. So in order to do that, the ball has to come out on time. I think Lamar's improved in that area, and he's put up stats. I think I hold Lamar in a little higher regard than you do, JB, but I still got to see his best football in January, not just in week 5 to win an MVP, because eventually it gets to the point where you're saying, man, MVP after MVP. But our quarterbacks, we ask them to elevate everybody else, and that'll be his next step in the postseason, just like Josh Allen. You ain't going to have better season than Allen had and Lamar have had. But I can tell you this, look at all the gaudy stats. Lamar, Goff, Josh, and look at the non-gaudy stats and who got to the Super Bowl and, quite frankly, who won it. Jalen Hurts didn't have gaudy throwing stats throughout the regular season. He didn't have to, but that's that it factor. So the it factor for you and me come from more of being able to beat you in a lot of different ways, but accurate on time from the pocket and winning in those games in January instead of just relying on your legs and making this spectacular play. I'm going to tell you what wins Super Bowls, JV, the simple play. The simple
layups.
Yeah, yes, that's what wins you championships at the next level.
Sean, I know Dr. J is a Baltimore fan, obviously here. People don't realize when it comes down to football, and there's no disrespect to him and on your show. Lamar Jackson faces more cover zero than any fucking quarterback in the NFL.
And
Dr. J.
Before you finish your thought, JB, and is it cover zero? Every quarterback in the world should be begging for it. Should be asking for it because it's carte blanche to say, I'm going to average 37 yards of completion. I mean, you're not begging for soft, too deep zone because you got to be patient all the time and you got to accurate to throw. Give me cover zero all the time. I'd still be playing it at my age and play 74 years.
We're salivating, right?
Yes.
If Lamar was that great, he'd have 6,000 yards against cover zero with Derrick Henry and every other back. If you go back and look at what Baltimore's had, they've had the number 1 O-line and run game for the last 4 seasons prior to last year. And guess what? That's not by just accident. Dr. J thinks because Lamar can run, it helps out all the other running backs. So you're telling me because he can run all the other running backs? No. It's because they have a run game predicated around him pulling the ball and 1+ing the protection.
And remember who's calling the plays. He's a really good play caller.
They've created this system for him. So guess what they have to do? Cover zero, heavy box. And guess what? He should be lighting the damn scoreboards up, but he's not. And that's the problem. And that's
why. During the regular
why.
season he is. He is during the regular season.
Because guess what they do in the regular season? They run a little more quarters match. They run a little bit more cloud and sky. They're rotating coverage on him. And then
keep out that on free-play zone so he doesn't beat you with his legs.
And what do you see when they play the same team in the playoffs, Sean? Guess what they see? Fire zone, zero. Oh, shit, it's a whole other system. Not pulling the ball and throwing an RPO to nobody because the D lineman dropped out.
Side adjustment, hot reads. And some of those hot reads you don't need to throw because when you're playing fire zone, guys drop and zone blitz. And JB, with that though, somebody counters you and says, "Well, they're playing zero coverage most of the time." I would ask you, okay, are they playing zero coverage because they don't believe Lamar can beat them like that, get it out on time with urgency,
all day,
or they're doing that more to take away run blitz lanes and get him in a position where he can't kill you with his legs? Which one is it to you?
No, they know that their corners. That in the NFL, the average corner in the NFL is better than the throwing quarterback of Lamar Jackson when it comes down to one-on-one.
So if I said Marino was in there throwing it, you'd say they ain't zero covered him because he'll kill you.
Never.
Well, go back to what Mike will tell you about that year they were undefeated and went down to Miami.
Bring pressure. Yeah.
Do you know and the Bears were playing that that 46 defense, but you know what the Miami Dolphins did, which was brilliant, is they spread them out.
Yep. First time.
They let Marino's arm instead of his legs, which Dan, you'll backpedal fast. I mean this with all love to Danny, is that you'll backpedal faster than Dan will run forward. You can time him with an hourglass, but that release is so quick you can't blink faster. What they did there, and Mike Ditka regrets it. Mike said we should have done something different. Is what they did is they spread them out, and by the time Otis Wilson and those guys were coming off the edge, the ball was already out. You couldn't get to him. Unblocked players.
And Dr. J, they don't go cover zero to tell you that their team and their other guys or their corner is better than their wide receivers. They go cover zero to tell you that their corner is better than the quarterback. I just want to make sure you understand how football works. They don't care about the wide receiver. They care that they're going to go cover zero because they're telling Lamar Jackson to drop the ball right here, face mask through the numbers against press coverage, or right here versus press banjo inside coverage on a slant. Things that he cannot do consistently. During the regular season, he'll drop a bang 8 in there. Looks pretty. 3-quarter release, and everybody's like, oh, he's getting better this year. No, he's the same guy with the same mechanics that runs a similar system every single year that has the best O-line in football with the best run game in football.
Okay,
that's just what it is.
Through this season, it's so fun. We can have a full show on one conversation. I love it. And I love the banter. And I love the respect. And just everybody's got an opinion. And on this show, you'll get respect for it. We don't have to agree at all. I mean, it's a good thing. But JB is – so let's say we go through this season and in the Super Bowl is the Rams or I don't care, or Philly. And – let's go AFC Burrow just for the hell of it. Okay. I'm just saying him because we haven't talked much about him today. And we get to the Super Bowl and it's those two. And Lamar and Josh and Jared Goff and Prescott all have big seasons numbers wise. Brock Purdy, but they don't get there. More so on the Josh and Lamar.
Keep talking. I'm right here.
Josh and Lamar and Dak Prescott. If they go do this and have great seasons, get into the playoffs, but just don't get them over the hump. When does a narrative shift that it's not because of them? It can't be inspired. This position's so important. But when will the narrative ever shift onto the guys that have great regular seasons but can't win a Super Bowl, as opposed to the guy who wins a Super Bowl but doesn't have great numbers throughout the season? Are we at the breaking point of believing that with Lamar and I guess it goes Lamar and Josh, because Lamar's had better teams than Josh Allen has. He just has. Yet, I think Lamar Jackson, in my eyes, and he's not where I want him to be from the pocket, but his numbers and some of the throws and plays I see him make are freak showish in September through December. Those freak show plays consistently. We're not talking about once in a while. Yeah. Like I said, make the simple play all the time. Drew Brees, make the simple play all the time. And he did it with an arm, JB. Drew Brees ain't throwing it 65 yards. He's not playing off schedule. On schedule, slants, accurate, wins the Super Bowl now. So when's the narrative going to shift on? I've seen enough to know that, not me, but the national fan bases, I've seen enough to know that what's this going to – are we going to get a Super Bowl from one of these 4 or 5 guys? Because once they break through, it may be look out. The question is, will they break through?
Let me ask you this. You mentioned a word. You said a word, and you said spite of. I'm going to go out on a limb. I like Jalen Hurts' maturation. I think he's grown as a mechanical quarterback. I think his father, guys that have trained him as well, other guys that we know, Jordan Palmer.
Son, the whole thing, yeah.
Jordan Palmer and other guys who coach a lot of quarterbacks. Mechanically, from year 1 to year 2, he was night and day, and that in the good.
Well, he was a big wind-up guy and slow release. Wasn't an anticipator.
Now he's here. He's socking the wall. He's getting it out. Lamar Jackson, if you watch him from day one till now, it's exactly the same, if not worse. His platform is dropped. His elbow's lower. Remember, Dr. J, I watched this film. I have DV Sport. I watched film like Sean and I have broken this stuff down for a long time. He's mechanically, he's gotten worse, I would argue.
He's gotten better as a player, but mechanics have suffered along the way, which in the postseason – that's what made Brady so good. His mechanics got better under duress.
But I'm going to go back on a limb, and they'll call me a hater. I still think the Philadelphia Eagles win in spite of Jalen Hurts instead of because of. See, I'm going to say straight out, because I think they lost the Super Bowl a couple years ago because what he didn't get done. And then the last year, obviously you add an MVP candidate in Saquon, that O-line and that defense. Obviously, they dominate the Chiefs. And by the way, he's been great in both Super Bowls. I'm not saying he's some bum. I'm just saying that team, does Jalen Hurts win? Does he do what he does in your scenario in Chicago and in other places? No.
More than likely, maybe not. It's all and timing about where you're fit in and where you get drafted to and get a chance.
Now maybe Jalen takes off and goes and wins 3 more Super Bowls, and then we're not going to ever have this debate. So That's fine.
You're talking
But
about
right now,
to now,
yeah.
right? The one thing, and while I get what you're saying, I would also make the argument though that we'll get back to the it factor about Mahomes stats down, back in a Super Bowl again. I think Mahomes I think he still thinks he has something to prove, which is crazy. And it's in his measuring sticks, Brady and Super Bowls, as opposed to he's thrown. We know he can throw for 50 touchdowns, all that. So maybe it gets the maturity kicks in where it's all about one thing. You got it paid. Now it's all about one thing, just winning. And
hey, listen,
that's that full piece that comes with playing the position is winning. It's like that. Well, like McIlroy winning Augusta, although he'd won other majors. People thought, man, that golfer, he just can't win there. And when he finally did, it's like he took a deep sigh, and then his game wasn't very good until he's back to playing it again these last 6 weeks or 8 weeks. But JB, I'll tell you this with Hurts, I'm going to take another step. If the it factor isn't just stats, I'm going to say they wouldn't have won the Super Bowl without Jalen Hurts. Why? Because I think his poise and his ability to get people to believe in what he's doing is underrated. Underrated. I told my friends, and I've said this to you, JB, and it bears repeating. When I watched Jalen Hurts come in his freshman year against USC at Jerry's house in Arlington to open the season when Alabama kicked our ass, Max Brown had started. I like Max. And then he lost his job. And then that was Darnold's coming out year, right? They finally put Darnold in, and he had about 5 or 6 games in. But when I watched Jalen Hurts that day, JB, as I'm sitting here now, I promise you to God, hand to God, I was sitting next to a couple I can name their names, buddies of mine that played on my USC team. We had a bunch of guys that were there. Everybody kind of flew in, and we had some fun times in watching the game. And I looked at him and I said, that's the most poised college football player that I've seen in a long time as a freshman. He wasn't even, there was 2 guys in front of him. He wasn't even supposed to play. Got the job, and from then on, no matter where he's been or what he's done, the thing that I love most about him, playmaker, all that, improved his game, coach's son, high football IQ, is at no time losing a job to Tua, transferring to Oklahoma, being questioned why he wasn't just drafted as a second rounder because he was a pure thrower. He was drafted as a second rounder because he was a winner and he was poised. I would suggest and argue that Jalen Hurts' poise is even better than his talent, and that's saying something because the guy's gifted. So I don't think they win it last year. I'm trying to think, who was their backup last year? I can't remember. Who is it? I even completely forgot. Well, it wasn't 2 Gloves because he's been on a couple of. I can't remember who his backup was because, well, I mean, I'm not even thinking about it. But I can tell you this: his impact on poise under pressure, the old PUP list of injury. But this is poise under pressure. I would argue that's his greatest trait under duress and in the biggest moments. And if I'm Josh Allen and Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts, not Jalen Hurts, and Jared Goff and Brock Purdy and all these guys that are really good players that are still in the infancy, some are veterans and been in the league a while, I would argue that the one thing you need that they have, and they may have poise, but I'm talking about there's something different about his poise. That I believe that Jalen Hurts' poise maybe as unparalleled as any. Joe Burrow's got poise. Mahomes has poise. A lot of them do. But the ability to settle down when the worst is hitting, and I think that's Jalen Hurts' biggest thing. I can find better throwers of football. I can find better runners, bigger quarterbacks. But when you combine the talent and then take a side and say, this dude's different when it comes to his approach to football and his approach to handling shit, I would argue that Jalen Hurts is in the top 2 or 3 in this league above a bunch of these guys we're talking about when it comes to those moments. And I love Josh Allen. I think Lamar's made strides. I think Prescott's put up numbers, gets unfairly criticized at times, but some of the criticism about big moments of forcing balls is real. I think that Brock Purdy's playing with less talent than all those guys, but he's tough. He's got to take another step. And so there's a lot of guys that are under those circumstances. You're not finding 3 quarterbacks in this league, and I'm talking about Mahomes included, that are more poised than that guy, Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I agree. There's just that list that came out. I know we'll get into the list later on as the season comes, but Dak wasn't on it. I don't know if I would have him on it either, but I would have.
Wasn't a top 10er.
And I don't understand for the life of me why CJ Stroud's not on there, but rookie Jaden Daniels is 5th. That's crazy to me.
Well,
And I love his rookie year and all, but let's be honest. If we're judging CJ off his sophomore year, which he won a playoff game again in,
won the division twice.
Yeah,
He won the division twice in 2 years.
He's won more playoff games than Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert hasn't won a playoff game yet. I don't understand how he is as high as he is. I don't get it.
The criteria of this stuff, right? For me,
yeah.
And I love Jaden Daniels, but the same energy for CJ Stroud after his rookie year. So did we put him in the top 4 or 5? Then?
No, we dismissed it. Yeah, exactly.
Right. But with that, premature to put Jaden Daniels in the 5, yes. But if I'm pushing forward, I love me some Jaden Daniels. He's got and you know what else he has?
Me too, but I'm not putting him above Stafford.
For all that phenomenal skill, you know what he's got? An accuracy.
Yep.
JB, he's improved his deep ball throwing immensely from when he was at LSU.
Yeah.
And he's got that same something that Hurts has. That same something that Mahomes has. And I don't know. Listen, we all wish we were born with it. And sometimes you can have a Hall of Fame career and not have that. I believe Jaden Daniels has whatever that is. And I think, but you're right. I wouldn't have him above Stafford just yet. I think CJ Stroud, considering all the circumstances he went through last year to still do what he does, he missed some simple stuff. But can you imagine every time he dropped back, those guys couldn't block base pass protection. They couldn't. Hence why they run a guy like Tunsil. Pre-snap penalties, you're at 2nd and 15 every friggin' down. That team pre-snap penalty in the locker room before they came out. That's got to get fixed. But if you're going to put what's as much as I like Herbert, what's he done? What's he done as far that Stroud hasn't?
Nothing. That's my point. I wouldn't even have him on my list, by the way. He would be out of my top 10 list right now. He's a freak, and if we built quarterbacks to look a certain way,
he is the part now.
Yeah, but like
and he can run for a 6'6" dude. He's a big monster.
But he hasn't even surpassed second-year CJ Stroud when it comes to getting things done. And by the way, CJ inherited one of the worst franchises in football,
right?
And took them to
now become one of the place where people want to go. And JB, one last thing about this is that in looking at like the Herbert approach and what he's got to get. There's another step now for him to get to, for us to say, because he's been in the league been a starting quarterback. We got the judgment on him. When's he going to elevate the Januaries to the next level? And now with Harbaugh, maybe he'll bring that out in him. And CJ Stroud has a chance to elevate, new offensive coordinator. So I'm anxious, JB, to see that it factor. We love stats, but we want wins, and we want wins, and we love stats. The problem is, there's not a whole lot of guys that give you both. And when I say wins, I'm talking about cap it off with a February championship.
I got to ask you, though, man, my thumbnail today was a little bit out there, obviously, and I had Dan Fouts on today, and Dan Fouts said he doesn't put himself in that regard, even though he's a Hall of Famer, because he didn't have a ring on his finger. He's like, so I think it matters. He thinks winning for a quarterback, he said that's why we played.
He's never been a tougher guy in the pocket than Fouts, trust me.
And he said he said we signed up. I signed up to win Super Bowl. He's like, so I failed at that, and he goes, that's why I'll grade myself on a hard curve. So he said, I think you have to win to get into that conversation, and and he thinks him and Dan are two of the best ball spinners ever, but they don't have Super Bowls. He said, so I wouldn't put him or Dan on there.
Do you realize now? And here's the odd thing: Marino, we still put him in the top 5 or 6 because Dan could rip it. Fouts. The numbers were as gaudy as anybody.
Hall of Fame, yeah.
Yes, and as tough as it gets and durable. Hell, I played against Fouts. That's how old I am. I was a rookie in the league when Dan was in his last year. He came out with a doggone fullback, the old school fullback face mask, but he had a broken nose and was still delivering the ball from the pocket with calves about that big, and yet tough as 100-year-old leather. Think about the narrative of those two guys.
I know.
If they go in Cincinnati and win that game in that crazy-ass weather and Fouts wins a Super Bowl.
That's what he said.
And if Marino wins the Super Bowl in his second year in 1984, and
Montana.
He told me, Sean, I thought I was going to 5 more.
Yep.
Do you realize what the Fouts would be in the top 10? The numbers were gaudy.
Top 5.
That's what I'm saying. And what I do, you talk about self-aware, and see, I hold Fouts in maybe higher regard than maybe Dan does himself because I loved Fouts.
Me too.
The toughness and everything.
That's Eric Coryell. That's Coryell at his
finest.
finest.
Right. Yeah. But Dan is self-aware, understanding how we judge the position. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Anybody that questions if Fouts is serious about winning was everything, go watch him and listen to the way people talked about him, the way he practiced and the way he went about his. But he had a blast, and his offensive line loved him. The players loved him. They just couldn't quite get over the top. And I know Dan takes responsibility for that, yet I don't think he should take all the responsibility for that. Because if they play that game in 75-degree weather, we may be looking at a guy who's got a Super Bowl ring and maybe would have went on to have more. But I watched Dan play, man, and he was tough as hell from the time he walked in till the time he ended, and really is one of the best throwers of the football we've ever had.
No doubt. And and he mentioned that. So bring it full circle to your start of this whole show. What's Dan Campbell has to do in Detroit, losing coordinators. One of those coordinators go to Chicago, right? And one of your alum, Caleb Williams, who was my thumbnail today, is out doing selfies again.
With the flower in his ear.
Flower and painted nails and crossing his legs, standing up. I've never seen it before. But anyway, is it more on Ben Johnson or is it Caleb Williams to do what you said Goff needs to do now with new coordinators? Caleb's going to have a new coordinator, obviously an established one, but he's an first-time head coach also. So it goes both ways. You see what I'm saying, right? It goes
100%. You are one. Yes. If it's good for one, it's good for the other for a different reason. Yes.
Are you as a player in the locker room?
I already know what you're saying. The answer is no. I'm bothered by it. Yeah. And not bothered by the flower in his ear, but you know what we want here. Here's the macho part of football, JB. And I know where you want to know as a teammate, would I like this or do I respect it? Do I like it? Listen, this is me talking just to show people I'm not a homer. I love my Trojans, but I'm as critical of them as has to be, like they're any other team. Caleb Williams' it factor that he's missing is the way everybody else feels in that locker. I don't know how they feel about him personally as a guy, but the perception, I guess, from what we're talking about. Do they love him and will they go to the ends of the earth for him like they do Hurts, like they do Mahomes, like they did, anybody else that's won Super Bowl? Would they stop everything to do it? I don't know. We're going to see, but I can tell you this. One thing that Caleb Williams better recognize is that Ben Johnson plays fast and furious football, what Ben's advantage is he may not get the pocket guy that he got in Jared Goff, but he's getting a guy that gives him more bandwidth offensively to do a bunch of stuff that he couldn't do with Goff because Goff's not a runner, period. He's just not yet. Now the question on the other side, JB, can Caleb Williams become the guy from that pocket that beats you on time throwing there? But going back to the it factor, it's not a matter of liking, it's respecting. So if you're asking me if there's guys in that locker room, in my opinion, that look at him and say, this cat's weird, there is no doubt. Now, weird's one thing, but if weird gets in the way and skews the football ability to run through a wall for your quarterback, it'll be different. And Ben Johnson will find out that it is different if it doesn't change. Do I think Caleb Williams is gifted? Hell yeah, plenty of arm strength, all that. But JB goes back, can he make the simple play all the time? Can he handle all the stuff that Ben Johnson's going to put on him? And can he win his teammates over? And winning over doesn't mean liking them where you're their best friend. It means, are we all in this, or is it Caleb and the rest of the cats? And that's the next step for him. So if you're asking me, would I look at him? Would I accept him? Sure, I can do that. There's a lot of weird-ass people in the world that I accept and I like. But liking him is one thing. But are they willing to run through, jump over, run around, whatever it takes for a guy that maybe beats to a different drum? Because most of our quarterbacks in this league, JB, that win, I hate to say this, usually end up being one of the guys. And it does matter. That culture, it does matter. Be the guy that takes him out to dinner, the guy that no check's good. And maybe he's doing that. The guy that, quite frankly, I don't think Marino would have had his flower in his ear. Not that it's that big a deal, but people's perception and reality perception may not be reality here. But if our perception is like this, what about the cats that are around him every day? And I can't wait. I want to hear teammates. One thing I don't hear much of is teammates come out and rally around. I want to know what they think about this.
Would Jimmy Mack?
No. Matter of fact, if Mack was the backup to Caleb Williams in Chicago, guess what would happen? By about week 3, they'd all say, give me McMahon going 7 out of 20 and still winning a game because he's one of us. Yes. That does matter.
See, Sean,
it does hold weight.
That's what I don't understand. I love everyone that's just so forgiving and loving and all this shit. Fine, sing me Kumbaya all you want. Here's the issue I have. No one talks about what you just mentioned, though. The fact that you can't win if you're not one of the guys, and this whole shit. As long as you win, JB, he can't win. That's what you guys don't understand.
He can win some. Yeah,
Yeah,
some.
but win though, like win.
If his
NFC North, John, hardest division in football. Last time I checked, winning is going to be something different than winning 5 fucking games.
Right. If his ability matched the guy's love, and like I said, I haven't talked to one guy in that locker room says they can't stand him or they love him. I haven't. That's why I'm saying my perception is that they just accept that he's a first pick of the draft and you got to deal with it. And that's a great point. RG3 was a different. He built a little different the way it went. And at practice, he wasn't willing, according to reports, wasn't willing to throw the ball away because he wanted his receivers to stay alive, in practice, so they know they'd stay alive and they still got a chance to get the ball. That's okay. And then I don't even want to get into the RG3 stuff right now because then we'll have to include Ryan Clark in the conversation and have those two go at it again. So we're not that's not who we are when it comes to this. But I will say, and RG3 was loaded with skill set. So hopefully Caleb Williams can stay away from injuries.
All Heisman winners, right? Heisman winners, all the shit.
Yes. Oh, no doubt. Supremely gifted. But JB, when it comes to Caleb Williams, when people say, oh, that doesn't matter, you got to be in one of the guys in the locker, it does matter. It does. I have never been around a winning, successful. I'm going to leave a guy out, and you guys, you can think whatever you want about the guy. I have been on a team that they may not have loved the guy the same way or respect the same way as they did somebody else at that position on the team.
Right.
And it cost them in certain times. It just did.
It's like leading you to war, Sean. I'm leading you to war. If I'm going to battle and you don't trust me and I go right and you go left, then there's no way I can trust that. I can't.
Like I said, his skill set is so enormous, but
that's fine and dandy. But
that's fine. And there's a lot of guys who come in this league that have that. The question is, I don't know what they think. That's why this is one of the questions. We'll continue the conversation more tomorrow. We can keep you here for 4 hours on one podcast, but we got all week, and we'll hit the next topic and we'll tease you on it.
Let me ask you to end this topic. You're the head football coach. You take the job
at Chicago.
And you're the head coach of Chicago right now. And this video or picture just surfaced, and that's who you inherited. You inherited Caleb Williams. And you're a first-year head coach. You're a successful OC somewhere else. And you're now, in essence, Ben Johnson. You inherited this video that's been thrown to your phone, and everyone's telling you, Coach, this is your quarterback, blah, blah, blah. Whatever Ben Johnson's hearing today. What does Sean Salisbury do? Do you have buyer's remorse?
I got to find out. That's a question that's got to be answered after I see the production. But if you're asking me what I do, here's the problem, JB. What can I do? I can't bench him. I'll coach his ass up. I'll coach. I can't have a players only not named. Everybody meet me, but Caleb's not invited to the meeting. Saying, you guys, you're dealing with a wacko here. It's a little bit different, but talented. Just accept it and move on. Some are going to be accepting of it. No problem. There's going to be some guys who think he's a weird cat and they're like, this dude, he better play great.
And in totality, I'm just making sure we're putting a bow on this thing. Not his bow, but I'm going to put a bow on this whole thing, Sean. He's a starting quarterback, uber talented kid. You're a 10-year veteran. You're the backup. He comes in there.
Now, see, it's not going to be on. I want the players to handle this more than I want the coach.
That's my point.
He'll get sensitive and want to battle the coach, and then there'll be rooting and pouting going on.
That's my point. So he comes to you and says, Sean, man, I want to learn the ropes. I know you're a 10-year veteran. Blah blah blah. I got this event tonight. And I'm the third string quarterback, and then he's going to get some wideouts and a couple O linemen. And he said, this is the only thing. We got to paint our nails and put a flower in our ear. You guys going?
No, we're not doing that. He wants me to come to his event. I'm going, but paint the nails, put a flower in my ear just to appease a guy who's our first round pick. I'm saying, fuck no, you need to take the flower out of your ear, take the nail polish off, and we'll all get a pedicure, manicure. But how about a buff and a shine so your toes and hands look good if that's what you want? But you don't have to have me paint it, and let's get ready to play some football. I would think that maybe there's got to be – I can think of some teammates that could joke with – the question I have about him, JB, is he sensitive to joking around about it? Could you give him a hard time? Then be one of the guys. I don't. Yeah. So if is he sensitive?
Hey, we're gonna go titty bar, and he says, "No, I gotta go get my nails done."
Yeah. If he says, "No, I'm going home to mama," no problem. No problem if you don't want to go. But here's what I would do if I was him. He better make it a weekly habit that those fellas that block for him up front get the guys together and on his dime, take them out and not take them out to to a nail salon, but take him out to have a cold beer and a steak or a burger. That'd be nice. So I think he's enormously talented. Sometimes these things don't matter. Is it preventing him from making a great throw because he's got blue nail polish? No. It's the perception of how people in his own locker room, and I don't know how they feel yet. I don't know. But I would wonder if we polled them in private, each player, and said, nobody will ever know it came from you. And you talked to 53 cats in that locker room and said, would you go to war for this guy? And is he one of you guys? That doesn't mean you gotta be peer group pressure, fall into horse shit drinking the night before. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about one of the guys that they know no matter what goes on, that if we need Caleb to go in and talk to Coach Johnson, he'll go in and talk to him on our behalf. Or we'll go in and sell the farm for him because we love him. And don't discount 1 second. You think those guys aren't going to the ends of the earth for Mahomes? Of course they are. They're going to the ends of the earth for Stafford. They're going to the ends of Josh Allen. They're going to the ends of the earth in Baltimore for Lamar, for Jalen Hurts. Are they doing that? Now, will performance dictate that respect? See, to me, it's more than that, JB. There's a lot of good performers that they still are like, when it's nut cutting time, who is he and how much do they believe in him? I don't know the answer. It's a question that I'm curious about. So to answer your question, if I was his coach, I would rely on a group of veterans or a veteran that isn't thin-skinned to put his arm around him or kick him in the ass and say, take him under your wing and do what we got to do to get him to be one of us. He may be one of them, but I don't hear raves coming out of the locker room outside his talent, but raves coming out of the locker room that says, hey, man, we love this guy. We'll go to the ends of the earth. Is it the narrative? Is it just window dressing? Or in their soul, do they believe he's a championship quarterback? What's up? Yes, JB.
It's not the flower or the nails. What stood out to you the most
about him?
Yeah, in that picture.
Did I miss the selfies?
Yeah, the picture with the flower and the.
Is it the legs crossed? The waist? I don't know.
Thank you. God damn it! He's standing up upright, vertical, and he has his legs crossed, Sean.
Well, put it this way.
I can't do it now.
I know it's a tough guy. I know it's a tough guy sport.
I got a stomach ache now.
Right. I guess for me, the first, if you're describing, and I don't, like I said, these are things. These are just from a distance, our perception. I do know this though, that in a macho sport, the guys want to know that their leader probably. I would think that I don't care about his personal habits away, but when you're
what's wrong with you, man?
Listen, crossing your legs doesn't mean a hill of beans, but this isn't happening. It's like I think this is his personality. He's a little bit more. Put it this way: if you were saying, "Give me his 5 traits," macho leader's probably not going to be one of them. Now, when I say macho, everybody thinks, "Oh, you mean bullying people and have to be Mr. Tough Guy?" Well, unfortunately, that quarterback guy there used Jim McMahon as a benchmark. JB, I can remember games when Mac. I'm like, this sumbitch can't practice. Mac, we used to laugh. Bad practice guy, and Mac would admit it. And could go out there and go 7 out of 21. You're like, boy, does he look bad. And guess what? The 7 completions were for first downs. 4 of his runs were diving for first downs. And then he'd go buy everybody else dinner after the game. That's who Mac was. And even though his performance suffered, we didn't care about that. All we cared about, this dude it doesn't matter. If Mac says it's good to go, we're going. I don't know this answer, but my perception from the optics tell me he's got a long way to go in Chicago. And that's a city that you better come right in that city. That didn't sound right, especially talking about this. You better be prepared to raise up your tough guy game, because you want me to go through the list of Chicago Bears on offense and defense over the years. They've loved Butkus. They love Singletary. They love McMahon. They love McMichael. They love Walter Payton.
Hold on.
And the bottom line of this whole thing is, with Caleb or anybody, especially with Caleb Williams, is that you've got to win your teammates. We talk about teammates buying into a coach. The rest of the guys have to buy into the quarterback to believe that no matter what's going on in the worst of times, will he be selfish and removed? Will he be a team guy and one of us? You want the one of us guys in your locker room.
Hold on.
But I don't know if he can change who he is that way, the perception of it. Yet in the locker room, they may love him. It's just odd to me. Go ahead, JB. What can I do for you, son?
So hold on. You mentioned some names there that just fucking made me think, holy shit.
Yeah,
So
that's who Chicago is, dude.
So Dick Butkus and Mike Singletary's walking in there and putting the fucking and seeing that.
Do not ask those guys that question. That's my perception. Don't ask Butkus and put it this way: if I had Butkus or Mike Singletary in the locker room,
how about Urlacher, who's on my show every week? How about Urlacher? You shitting me?
Well, I already know that answer. Jim Harbaugh himself, who beats to a different drum, but there was a different toughness. They loved his toughness. Listen, there's no doubting Caleb Williams' talent. I don't really listen. If I'm a receiver,
Gary Finsick.
Yeah, Doug Plank. Yeah, it won't end well. Otis Wilson. Yeah. Jay Hilgenberg, Keith Van Horn. Here's what they'd have done.
Hampton, rest in peace.
They'd have probably. See, that's what Ditka didn't have to police the locker room. You want to know why? All the players did.
Exactly my point.
So I know people say, "Oh, you guys are
led by the quarterback.
You guys are shallow and short-sighted."
Yeah, right.
I can tell you, I don't know much, but I know being in locker rooms, that guy more than any guy on the team, including coach, you have got to buy in that no matter what you do, he's got you. So the optics are weird. He's a good player, but I got to know what's Ben Johnson going to do. Is he just going to overlook the optics? How do you get that cohesiveness for him to? That his weirdness is trumped by his buy-in from the players.
Here's the issue. We've been in professional locker rooms. You've been in more than me, and I'm gonna just be honest. Soon as there's a fucking 1 ounce of doubt, it's over. Season's done. And if I'm the head coach, play caller, and I have this much doubt going into the season, it's over. I don't care what anyone wants to sit here and tell me. And all you casuals out there who listen and say you know more, that have never been in a locker room, never played or coached, and is going to tell us you know more, you're embarrassing me. You're an embarrassment to everything you do. I'm just telling you right now, if you act like you know more, what a locker room entails. By the way, an NFL locker room, I will argue, is the most intimate setting on planet Earth. And if it ain't
that's a guarantee.
If it ain't fucking tightly knitted like this, and we're not hanging out, and we're not
Vegas times 1,000, right?
You can't sit here and tell me I walk in the locker room and see my quarterback with painted nails and a flower in his ear, and doubt doesn't just go in my brain right now. Season's over. I'm just telling
you. In our locker rooms growing up, the veterans would have said, "You want to get taped to the goalpost or get the nail polish and the flower out of you?" That's how they would have thought. Now I know times change. Like I said, if he performs, everybody will say, "Okay." But JB, you mentioned that doubt, and we'll end on this today. I love this topic because we had 15 other topics that we'll get to because football is a long season. And this bears repeating and bears talking about. Bears, no pun intended with the fact that we're talking about the Bears. Is it with this, when you say doubt, JB, that, and you're right, when it creeps in, it's a problem and the first bit of adversity. My question is, when things are going bad, and they will at times, the Bears, they will, there's always a learning curve. Will he be an I guy or a we guy? And right now, I think the perception is, may not be reality, that he's more about him than he is about them. Does that make sense?
That's the first doubt's got to be the goddamn center. No,
the what?
The fucking center.
What do you mean?
The center. Don't he have some doubt?
Does the center have doubt? What you mean? What do you mean? Because he got his hands turned this way as opposed to this way? You're an idiot, man. I'm sitting here saying,
no, because the quarterback's nails are painted, and he's gonna go into my balls with fucking nails painted. That's the first thing doubt I have. No.
Well, if I'm the center, I would have thought of that beforehand, and I would. You get to a point. Well, if you're worried about his nail polish, I got a couple players in the league that are going to beat your ass into the ground. So you don't have time to worry about that once a game starts. If you're the center, whether his nail polish means that he enjoys being under center or not. I don't listen. You win and you get buy-in from the players. I don't give a rat's ass who you like or who you date or what kind of nail polish you wear. But there's still going to be the and a first sign of adversity. Those things creep in. If you're winning and playing great football, nobody will care how your nails are painted.
But we're skipping over too many variables, and that's what people don't grasp. And I'm being all serious.
Biggest is buy-in from your teammates.
We're skipping over all these variables. If you win, it's cool.
Right.
There's too many ifs. You can't win if my center don't want you under center.
Right.
Well, you can't win in the game. Let's just say a scenario real quick. I know we're beating a dead horse. It's a tie game, fourth quarter, late in the game, and it's a 42-42 shootout. And this guy's already been questioned in the huddle for saying some stuff because he got hit a few times or what have you.
Me stuff. Right.
Am I going all out to win this game at the end of the game because I'm fully bought into my leader, my quarterback? Is it John? Is it Joe Montana in the huddle saying, "Hey man, that's fucking John Candy in the end zone there, relaxing his team and going down and win it all and hit John Taylor in the back of the end zone or Clark or whoever"? Come on, man. No, it's a down already. It's over
right now.
The Chicago Bears are done.
There's no doubt that talent's huge, but there is also no doubt that the perception around this country and in football is he's more me than we. And do I think that people are going to go to the ends of the earth for him? And JB, you and I both know it does exist. Sometimes guys will they'll you know what, this guy doesn't have my back. Do I have his in a situation that they may not care? And keep an eye on. I'm curious. When he takes a hit this year, I always am watching offensive linemen if they help the guy up on a regular. That's what, you know what I mean? That one to get hit and they're like walking back to get in the huddle. It's like, I don't know if it's going to be the case. A lot of this is speculation on our part, but again, if I'm a receiver and you could throw me the ball on time and I can get me open and I'll buy in because you want the numbers. But the question is, as an overall team, do they believe this is their fearless leader? Not Ben Johnson, because Ben Johnson ain't going to throw one ball on Sunday, but he has got to convince them that buy-in, however, and whoever does, that buy-in is not just for Ben Johnson, but buy-in. And the Bears have needed a guy that knows how to call plays for a while. The question is the intensity and the buy-in going to match, that the players believe that no matter what goes on, that Caleb Williams has their back? And perception is right now across the league is no. That's the perception. But I don't know, because I don't hear anybody talk about it in the locker room other than us in the media and fans saying, this is a weird optic. Right? And weird doesn't mean bad sometimes, but JB, if you're asking me, do I want the non-painted, non-flower in the ears, cross my legs while standing up guy, or do I want the guy that crossed my legs while standing up, flower in the ear and painted nails? I'll take the former, not the latter. But he's gifted, and so that always teases. But you're going to get an idea real quick about buy-in, because what's the excuse now? They've got some talent, they've got a quarterback supposedly, and they've got a head coach who was as good offensive coordinators we had on the planet last year. We'll see. But you're probably not going to play center on the Chicago Bears, so we don't have to worry about that.
Maybe he does have their back.
That's no pun intended, I'm sure, you idiot. So there you go. And by the way, JB, to answer your question, remember I told you it wasn't supposed to rain today and everything, but it will. Outside my house, I'm looking, and it is thunderstorming again. Yeah, there you go. Stand up. There you go. Now, flower in the ear. Yeah. I don't even know if Caleb wants to change the perception. I think he kind of likes the fact that people that wonder about this. I do. I'm not talking about the perception, whether you said if the center wants his hands underneath. I'm talking about the buy-in perception of the overall team. Do you believe he can take you to the promised land? Fans are holding on to it because the Bears want to win. And they haven't had a quarterback drafted like this ever in the first pick of the draft, I don't think, unless I don't know, where was Sid Luckman drafted? But you get my point. Buy-in will be everything with Caleb Williams. So put it this way. I don't know if we've ever had a quarterback in the league that we have these questions. I see you, dog. We have these questions. We have questions about a lot of quarterbacks. Like, question me, can a guy leave? The question that most teams don't have to deal with, we talk about distractions, JB. You're an idiot. Sit your ass down so we can get this show over with. Is that that I've never seen a quarterback that went about his business this way. How's that? Have you? No. Optics-wise? Yeah.
No.
So history would tell us we haven't seen one. So if he's able to go on and get buy-in, then he'll be the first. We've had a lot of weird dudes. Some guys don't like, but we haven't had – he beats to a different drum, whether you call that weird or not. But I think he's got a lot to do to earn the daily trust of his teammates. That's all I'm telling you, from my vantage point, not from theirs, from mine. But winning will cure a lot of it. What'd you say, Triple E? Oh, I thought he said something. So there you go. Yeah, well, Triple E, you tell me. Do you look at Caleb Williams? Is your perception of him different because of his optics?
What you do on the field will tell me everything. I'm not going to judge anybody, what you do, your lifestyle, however you live. But
so we'll know about buy-in depending on how the guys respond.
How they play. Right?
Fair enough. That's pretty simply said. And that's normally how I feel. Although I'll still give him the side eye if he comes in with pink nails on game day. I'll just be a little, you good, dude? You good? But we've gotten to the point now, this is nothing new, so we've kind of accepted it. But if he comes with fuchsia nails to open the season, I would imagine people are going to look and say, I hope he can play. Because if he can't, then Ben Johnson's faced with something real. You got a quarterback that doesn't quite fit the mold. And if he doesn't perform well, and you're the first pick of the draft, that's a problem. That's a problem. So we'll find out if the first pick of the draft 2 years ago can pull through and change a little perception from our vantage point. We'll see what it's like in the locker room. Now, go paint your nails and go take some snaps from somebody. So you, real quick, JB, in all seriousness, you think guys don't want to play there because of this?
Fuck. Would you?
Well, it depends on how much I'm getting paid. No.
I mean, it does. It does. But even with the money, though, you're not all in.
Yeah. Put it this way. I think Ben Johnson knows that he's got a talented player. This is just my thought process. He's got a talented player that he hopes that the extracurricular, meaning the nail paint and the flower and the way he stands and his the at times feminine approach. Let's face facts. That's what people are calling it, feminine approach. He knows that somehow, some way, they got to come out smoking and score and play and win, or that perception will heighten it. Man, is he caught up in all the weird stuff that most of our quarterbacks in this league don't live by? Not Baker Mayfield, not Dak Prescott. And it's not just the nails, it's the overall, buy-in to the overall package, because we know he's skilled, but he's going to have to match buy-in with his talent and see if they both come together. All right, man. Tomorrow we'll talk Dak Prescott. A couple questions I have tomorrow, JB, is can Dak change the narrative of the Cowboys? Now it's the Cowboys, but can Dak do that, be that guy? Brock Purdy, can he quiet the questions about all this money, and can he elevate? The first coach that gets fired this year, I don't want to put that out there, but there's somebody who's going to go fairly, like first 8 weeks of the season, and who's
Brian Daboll.
Who's on the hottest seat? And then how long before the Raiders? This is just for tomorrow. How long before the Raiders are a major factor in the league with Pete Carroll?
Year two.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out and see what Geno does for that. But I know that they'll be better. They will be better. And Pete Carroll will make sure of that. All right. Speaking about a guy who gets buy-in, Pete Carroll's going to get it in Las Vegas. We'll see if Caleb Williams can get that along with Ben Johnson in Chicago. A lot to manage there, which you don't want that extracurricular stuff to be the reason. All right. We'll be back here tomorrow. JB, great stuff. Triple E, appreciate you. For Laura and Craig behind the scenes, thank you. This is Unpaved. We'll do it again tomorrow. And neither of our nails will be painted, although I might, no, I don't even have polish. I'm a buff guy. Well, Sean, not buff, but, nails should be clean, just not painted for the dudes playing football on an NFL team in a locker room. That being said, please tell me the talent's going to take them to a whole new level. We'll see you guys tomorrow on Unpaved.